Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we are going to see how we can create custom animated objects using Blender and Sollumz. So first of all, it's important to know that you should be on the latest Blender version or the things might differ for you and you might not have all the options or have missing options, like there are parenting stuff which is only available on the latest Sollumz version. So make sure you have updated your Sollumz version. So let's hop into our Blender. And let's just add few stuff. So I'm just gonna add a cube, add a cone, and add a, let's say, our monkey. I'm just gonna move everything a little bit up, and let's say we keep everything like this. I'm just gonna scale it down a little bit. And now I'm just gonna apply the transforms on all of my objects. And I've seen that many people ask that why we need to apply the transforms. So here's the reason. If you go to the items tab over here, and if we just select our object, you'll see that the location is not set to 0, or in your case the scale and the rotation and most of the things might not be set to 0. So we need to set all the things to 0. So if you want to set all the things to 0 without actually moving your object in your viewport, what we can do is just select the object, press Ctrl+A and select all transforms. Similarly, I'm just gonna select both of these objects, Ctrl+A and all transforms. And now if you'll see, everything is at 0. The scale should be 1 and the location and rotation should be 0. So once everything is at 0, I'm just gonna convert all these 3 models to a valid GT model. So let's just go to our Sollumz panel, drawable tools, create drawable objects. I'm just gonna select it, create drawable, select this, create drawable, and select this, create drawable. Once you have created the drawables, now we want to create our bones which will be animating. So press Shift+A, and over here we can select armature. Let's just hide all the objects for now. And now this is our single bone, and over here this is our armature. So what we want to do is add 3 bones. So 1 bone for each of the object and 1 bone which is going to be our root bone. So the main concept is that we generally either don't attach any objects to the root bone, or if we attach any objects, those objects should remain constant and there should be generally no rotation or no action over the root bone. So we are going to add total of 4 bones. The first one is going to be our root bone, which will not be moving at all, and 3 bones for 3 of our objects. So if we just select our bone in the viewport and go to the edit mode, we can just select the bone again, press Shift+D and right click. You'll see over here in the armature we have 2 bones right now. I'm just gonna create 2 more bones, Shift-D, right click, and Shift-D, right click. Now we have 4 bones. Let's just rename our bones to bone 2, bone 3 and bone 4. Now we want to parent each of our bone to the previous bone. So let's say bone 4 is going to be parented with bone 3. So to do that, select bone 4, then Ctrl click bone 3, and over here in the viewport, press Ctrl+P and select keep offset. And now you will see that bone 4 is parented to bone 3. Similarly, we're just gonna parent the bone 3 to bone 2, Ctrl+P in the viewport and keep offset. And then bone 2 to bone, Ctrl+P and keep offset. So now our bone is going to be our root bone. We need to parent our bone 3 to bone 2. Just select it and select bone 2, Ctrl+P and keep offset. And this is our bone hierarchy. So our main bone is going to be our root bone, and then all the 3 bones will be attached to these 3 objects. So if we just go back to our object mode, select our armature, select the rotate tool, and over the x-axis rotate it by -90 degrees. So select the axis as x and angle by -90. Once you have done it, select the armature again, press Ctrl+A and click on all transforms. Now if we want to attach all of our objects to our bones, what we can do is, first of all, expand all of our objects, and now we want to drag a drawable model into our armature. So to do that, select our drawable model, shift and hold and drag it in the armature. Select the second drawable model, shift and drag and drop it in the armature. Shift, drag and drop it in the armature. And now we can just delete all of these three things. So first is our first is our cone. So let's just rename it to cone drawable model. Second one is our monkey. So let's just rename it to monkey drawable model. And third one is our cube. So rename it to cube drawable model. Now we want to parent our drawable models to our bones. So in order to do that, select our drawable models using control click, then click on armature, then over to the object mode, change it to pose mode. Now if we expand our pose, expand our bones, we want to attach our, let's say, cube to our bone 2. So we are not going to attach anything to our root bone, so bone will be empty. So if we want to attach our cube to our, let's say, first bone, select our cube, go to bone 2. So select our cube drawable model, control click bone 2, and over here, and move your mouse over in the viewport and press Ctrl+P and then click bone. If you have done it correctly, if we just go back to our object mode, select our cube drawable model, and under the object properties panel, if we go to relations, you will see that the parent type is set to bone and the parent bone is set to bone 2. Similarly, we can do the cone drawable model and monkey drawable model. So just select the cone and monkey drawable model, then select the armature, then change it to pose mode, select our monkey drawable model, select our bone 3, Control P and select bone. Select our cone drawable model, select bone 4, Control P and select bone. Once we have parented our drawable models to our bones, now we want to assign some properties to our bones. So if we just select our first bone, go to the bone properties, and under the bone properties we have our bone tag. So our root bone will always have a value of bone tag of 0. Our first bone, we are going to increase the value by 1. So our bone tag is going to be 1. Our third bone is going to be our bone tag value of 2. And our fourth bone is going to have a bone tag value of 3. So the root bone is always going to start with 0. The first bone is going to have the bone tag value of 1. The second bone is going to have the bone tag value of 2. And the third bone is going to have the bone tag value of 3. So first we start with our root bone having the 0. And then we increase our bone tag as we go down to the hierarchy. Now we want to assign some flags to our bones if we want to animate our bones. So let's say we want to have our bone moving and also rotating. So we can add 6 new fields. Over in the bone 2, select first field, name it to rot X. Second field, rot Y. Third field, rot Z. Fourth field, trans X. Fifth field, trans Y. And sixth field is trans Z. So these 6 values or these 6 flags will allow our bone 2 to rotate and to move in our game. And if we don't have these flags over in our bone, the bone will not show the properties of rotation and moving. Similarly, we can have these properties in our bone 3 and bone 4. So let's say we only want to rotate our bone 3 and bone 4. So we can only have rotation flag. So rot X, rot Y and rot Z. Similarly for our bone 4, create 3 new flags, rot X, rot Y and rot Z. Once we have assigned our flags, we can change back to our object mode, and now we can change our armature to a valid drawable. So if you just select our armature, go to general tools, go to debug, and under the fix hierarchy, make sure the drawable is selected and then select fix hierarchy. And if you just select our armature again, go to object properties, go to Sollumz, we have our valid Sollumz type, which is drawable. Now what we can do is animate our bones. So to animate our bones, go to pose mode, expand our timeline, set the starting frames to 0. I'm just gonna select all the bones, press I and select rotation to initialize the first keyframe. And I'm just gonna set the active keying to rotation and location and activate our keyframe recording. So over to a 20, I'm just gonna rotate my second bone, which is going to be like this. Over at keyframe 40, I'm gonna rotate my second bone or the third bone by -90, and over 60, I'm just gonna rotate my fourth bone or by -90. So let's just fix our keyframes. Over here, our bone should be at -90, 45. I'm just gonna align it like this randomly only. And once we have initialized our keyframes, what we can do is change our end to, let's say, 60. So this is our animation, a very simple animation. If we want to, let's say, don't move our cube, so we can just select our bone 2 and remove all these 2 keyframes. So our cube will not be animated. If we just go back to our object mode, and then we can just give textures to our model. I'm just gonna give a single texture, go to a shading tab, and let's say give it a texture. I'm just gonna give it a plain blue texture, convert the texture to a valid shader, so a default shader, and I'm just gonna embed all the textures. Select the default texture for each of the object, and now we can create our animation or the animation dictionary, which is YCD. So first of all, let's just rename our armature to something like animated prop. And now if we just select our armature, go to animation tools, click on create clip dictionary template. We can just rename our clip dictionary template to clip@animated prop. You can name it anything, but I'm just gonna rename it like this. Just create clip, create animation, go to animation, object properties, Sollumz, and for the hash I'm gonna give it animated prop. Frame count, we have 60 frames, so 60. Animation, so if you see over here in our prop, we have animation, and in the animation we have armature action. So I'm just gonna select the armature action as base, go to our clip hash. We're gonna set the hash to the same name, so the animation hash should match the clip hash. The name should be of a specific format, so it should be pack is2 / the hash name, which is animated prop dot clip. So if you don't keep the name in this format, there are some issues with it, that the animation doesn't play in game and many more things. So make sure to keep the name format as pack : / the hash name dot clip. For duration, we can, let's say, set it to 6. Click on add new animation link, expand the animation, expand the linked animations, go to animation and select animation. Start frame is at 0 and end frame is at 60. And now we can create a Y type for our animated prop. So just select our Y type, go to archetype definition, create Y type. I'm gonna rename the Y type to animated prop. Select our animated prop and auto create from selected. So this is our animated prop. Expand the archetype. Under the clip dictionary, we want to select our animation name. So clip @animated prop. Paste it over here. And under the flags, we want to tick mark bone anims. And now we can just expand our Y type. I'm just gonna export it to our animated props tutorial folder. And now we can just select both of our animation and prop. Go to general tools, export, animated prop tutorial. Click on selected objects and disable parent transform. Click on export CodeWalker XML. And now if you see over here, we have our YDR, our Y type and our YCD. So if we just go back to our RPF Explorer, I am already in my DLC. Enable edit mode and drag and drop all the 3 XMLs into our CodeWalker. So if you see, this is our prop, this is our animation, and this is our Y type. So once you have drag and dropped the YDR, Y type and the YCD, make sure to restart the CodeWalker once. I'm just gonna restart the CodeWalker RPF Explorer. Go to my RPF DLC pack. And now if we preview our YDR, you'll see that the object is rotated or animated. Also, if you notice, the clip dictionary name is automatically filled and we don't need to change our clip. But if we just select, we have our clip name over here. If you apply it, it doesn't change anything. So if your prop doesn't animate on restarting the CodeWalker and then previewing the YDR, make sure you have filled the hash names and the hash and the names properly with the same properties and the same format which I have told you. You can just straight up copy my name. You can just straight up copy my YCD names and the hash names for testing purposes. But make sure that if it's not animated, you need to change some of the properties in the YCD files. And once it's animated, we can just stream all these 3 folders. And now we can just place our YDR using our YMap. So let's launch a CodeWalker. Select our DLC, which is add-on prop for me. And now if we just place our prop right over here, go to new YMap file, new entity, and place our R type name, which is our animated prop. So animated_prop, and you'll see that it's automatically animated in our CodeWalker 2. So we can just calculate all flags, calculate extents, save our YMap. I'm just gonna save it right over here. In my stream folder, I have already created my stream folder. Go to tools, manifest generator, save manifest. And if we just go back to a stream folder, drag and drop our YDR, YType and YCD, and let's start our server. Ensure our resource. And if we just teleport to our location, we can see that our prop is animated in our game too. So if you want to animate the lights, we can also animate the lights. So if we just open our YDR, and if we just go to our light menu or the light editor, you will see that we have a new option to create lights. Just click on new light. I'm just gonna select the spotlight and move it upwards. And now if we just set our bone ID, which is our bone tag, which is our bone tag which we created or which we assigned to our bones in our Blender, we can just increase it and the light will move along with that bone rotation. So for the first ID, it is just this animation. For our second bone ID, it moves along with the monkey. And for our third animation, it moves along with our cube or our cone. So you can just assign the bone IDs and create a light in CodeWalker, and like that you can attach a light and animate it using any bone. You can also just create random bones or an extra bone, let's say, with a bone ID of 4 and attach a light to that bone ID. It is easier to actually work with lights in CodeWalker, so it's actually best to use the light editor which is provided in the CodeWalker and just assign the bone IDs over here. And if you just want to stream it, we can just save our YDR and just stream it. So that's it for this tutorial. I'm not gonna just show how it looks in game, but obviously you can try it for yourself, and hope you find it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.